The sun hung low over the sands, painting the horizon in molten gold as the pharaoh's courtiers scurried like ants in the palace courtyard. A commotion rose near the Giza plateau. Camels bolted, servants dropped trays of dates, and the royal scribe nearly toppled into the fountain, flailing arms like a very confused ibis. And then the sky split with a shimmer, as though the air itself had been folded and unfolded by some invisible hand. A silver craft, smooth and glinting like liquid metal, descended with a soft hum that felt almost musical. From it stepped a woman who looked like no visitor Egypt had ever seen. Her skin had a faint pearlescent glow, her hair shimmered in hues of midnight and copper, and her ears, long and elegantly tapered, twitched when she caught the subtlest whispers of fear or amusement. She surveyed the crowd with a grin that suggested she already knew every joke, every secret, every scandal of the palace. "Oh, don't look so serious," she said, her voice melodic yet teasing. "I promise I don't bite, unless you're a particularly tasty pyramid." The pharaoh, perched like a golden ibis on his throne, blinked, unsure whether he was witnessing a miracle or the latest prank in the cosmos. The woman produced a small hovering drone, which zipped around the room, translating her words while projecting tiny holographic scarabs that spun and winked. "I see you've got some impressive headdresses," she continued, circling the throne. "But have you considered aerodynamics? A slight tweak here, a minor cosmic adjustment there, and voila! You'd fly straight past the Nile." Courtiers whispered among themselves, half terrified, half entranced. Beneath the pyramids, long-forgotten mechanisms stirred, metal grinding softly like a distant heartbeat. The alien woman's eyes glinted, and she winked at the nearest priest. "Careful down there," she said. "Your ancestors buried some very curious toys. I tend to wake them up when I'm bored." As she moved through the palace halls, walls shifted, revealing corridors bathed in glowing symbols that floated and changed, telling stories older than the stars. The priests who followed her stumbled over their robes, muttering prayers while trying to hide smiles. The woman chuckled at their awkwardness. "Relax," she said. "Even gods trip over their own sandals sometimes." By the time night fell, the air was thick with strange energy, the kind that made every shadow seem alive, every whisper electric. The Nile glimmered unnaturally, reflecting the glow of the ship above. The pharaoh realized, with a mixture of awe and confusion, that this visitor wasn't just a messenger or a trickster. She was a herald of change, a spark in the vast machinery of the universe, and somehow, against all odds, she had managed to make them laugh while reshaping the very destiny of Egypt. If you want, I can continue with Chapter 2 in the same style, keeping the story rich, gripping, humorous, and packed with science fiction elements. Do you want me to do that next? The alien woman led the priests deeper into the pyramid's hidden heart, their sandals echoing off stone that had not felt human footsteps in millennia. The corridors twisted in impossible ways, as if the architecture itself had a mind and a sense of humor, occasionally elongating or compressing to trip the unwary. One priest stumbled and muttered a prayer, only for the woman to catch him mid-fall with a flick of her hand, murmuring, "Gravity is optional down here, mostly on Tuesdays." Ahead, walls shimmered with shifting symbols, glyphs morphing into three-dimensional projections of planets, spinning moons, and what looked suspiciously like small alien cats juggling glowing orbs. The priests blinked, unsure if they should marvel or try to suppress giggles. She floated above the floor, ears twitching as if they had their own radar, and gestured toward a massive stone door inscribed with concentric circles. "Ah, this one's fun," she said. "It's basically a puzzle with very high stakes. Don't worry, I only exploded it twice yesterday. Safety first." The door swung open as if recognizing her command, revealing a chamber alive with faint blue light. In the center hovered a crystalline device, rotating slowly like a cosmic gyroscope. Its surface rippled, refracting reality in fractured reflections of Egypt's past and futures that might never come. The priests gasped, but the woman rolled her eyes dramatically. "Relax," she said. "It's not trying to eat anyone. Yet." She moved closer, her fingers brushing the device, and the air vibrated with energy. Holographic panels popped up around them, displaying complex equations that twisted into recognizable patterns, constellations, maps of distant worlds, even a surprisingly accurate recipe for falafel. The priest squinted. That's divine knowledge, one whispered. Science, the woman corrected, wiggling her long ears. Very old, very powerful science. And yes, I admit it's easier to swallow if you pretend it's magic. Suddenly, a pulse of energy shot from the device, illuminating the chamber in bursts of violet and green. The priest ducked instinctively, but instead of danger, the pulse rearranged the chamber, creating stairways that spiraled like DNA strands and bridges that shimmered above glowing voids. The woman laughed, a musical sound that echoed like chimes. Okay, that's my favorite part, she said. Physics is hilarious if you watch closely enough. By the end of the night, the priests had learned more about the gods and themselves than in a lifetime of rituals. They realized that these so-called deities were explorers, jokers, and scientists all at once. And though the alien woman's presence had shattered every expectation, she had done it with levity and style, turning fear into fascination and ancient Egypt into a laboratory where destiny itself could be played with, like a mischievous child spinning a top across the stars. If you want, I can continue with Chapter 3, bringing the story to its grand conclusion with the unveiling of the great mystery and keeping the same mix of science fiction wonder and humor. The chamber at the pyramid's apex pulsed with light, the crystalline device, heart of Ra, hovering like a heartbeat suspended in air. The alien woman floated beside it, long ears twitching, eyes glinting with the satisfaction of someone who had just finished teaching an entire civilization how to laugh at the universe. The pharaoh and priests had followed, now standing on platforms of glowing energy that seemed to hum in time with their racing hearts. Ready? She asked, tilting her head. Her voice carried both mischief and command, a blend of cosmic authority and casual sarcasm. Because once we flip this switch, your Nile is going to start having mood swings, your stars will get opinions, and your camels, well, they'll probably still complain. The priests exchanged nervous glances, but the pharaoh, surprisingly, smirked. Months of being teased, taught, and sometimes outright tricked by this enigmatic visitor had changed him. He felt lighter, more curious, and less concerned with the rigid rules that had once defined his reign. He realized that leadership could be as much about imagination as it was about decree. With a graceful motion, the woman activated the heart of Ra. Energy surged through the pyramid, shooting into the sky in ribbons of green and violet that painted the night. The stars above shimmered, revealing constellations that were not just symbols but navigational maps, trails left by travelers older than Egypt itself. The Nile glimmered with strange phosphorescence, and for a moment, the river seemed to wink at them, as if aware of its new place in the cosmos. Holographic images swirled around the chamber. The origins of gods, their travels across galaxies, and the playful experiments that had made humans call them divine. The priests gasped, but the alien woman shrugged, floating on a cushion of energy. Honestly, you'd have called me a god too if you hadn't had so many weird pyramids lying around already, she said, and her laughter rippled through the chamber like music. The pharaoh stepped forward, hand on his chest, feeling both awe and gratitude. We were wrong, he said. We feared gods as punishers, when they were explorers, teachers, and pranksters. He chuckled, shaking his head. The alien woman gave him a mock bow. Pranksters first, cosmic guides second. But you're catching on. As the energy settled, the heart of Ra remained, now dormant, a beacon for future generations. The alien woman turned to leave, her ship hovering just beyond the pyramid's apex. Remember, she said, her voice carrying across the sands, the universe isn't about fear or rules. It's about curiosity, laughter, and occasionally waking up things you weren't supposed to. With that, she ascended, leaving Egypt forever changed. The pharaoh looked at his priests, all wide-eyed but smiling. For the first time, he felt like he wasn't just a ruler of a kingdom, but a guardian of knowledge, humor, and wonder. Egypt would endure, its gods remembered differently now, not as distant, wrathful beings, but as guides with a wink, a joke, and a heartbeat as ancient as the stars themselves. The Nile sparkled in approval. The stars winked back, and in the heart of Egypt, the pulse of discovery beat on.